Justin Fields, the superstar that has not launched out on the football field yet. Still though, Justin Fields is entering year 3 with oozing potential that is just sizzling to the rest of the NFL. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Justin Fields as he has a rebuilt team around him. Despite the fact that Justin Fields has not won a lot of games in the NFL, it has been clear that improvement is on the horizon for Justin Fields. With the additions of DJ Moore and D'Onta Foreman, the Bears offense is expected to be improved from last season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. Will Justin Fields elevate the Bears into playoff contenders this season? And the answer to that question would be most likely not. And this is not a diss on Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is actually a solid quarterback, and I think that his win-loss record is a misrepresentation of how good of a quarterback he actually is. Do I think Justin Fields is an elite quarterback right now? Absolutely not. But do I think Justin Fields is a guy that you can win with if you put him in the right situation? Absolutely. For example, if you put Justin Fields on the Carolina Panthers right now, a team that is a quarterback away from playoff contention, that would be a team I would pick to make the playoffs in the NFC. But here's the thing with the NFC as well. The NFC this year is going to be really weak. And speaking of a weak NFC, their division is going to be one of the weakest in NFL history. Not just in the NFL, but in NFL history. I think their division is going to be really bad next year because you look at the Packers, they're moving on to Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. I think he has a lot of potential as well. However, it takes 52 other guys in order to form a really good unit, and the Green Bay Packers don't have a good team around Jordan Love whatsoever. Yeah, they got Aaron Jones. Yeah, they got Christian Watson. Yeah, they got AJ Dillon. And yeah, Matt LaFleur is a good coach, but the Packers defense is still questionable. The Packers receiving core is still really questionable. Their offensive line is not that good anymore. This Green Bay Packers team needs more than just Jordan Love the ball out. They went 8-9 last year with a legendary quarterback on their roster in Aaron Rodgers. I mean, how do you manage to go 8-9 with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback? So if Aaron Rodgers couldn't even get that team to get a winning record, how do I expect Jordan Love to get a winning record on the Green Bay Packers? So I have doubts about the Green Bay Packers. But then you look at the Minnesota Vikings. Some people might say, hey, they won 13 games and they got Kirk Cousins, they got Justin Jefferson, and they got a plethora of weapons all over the team. And what I got to say is, hey, they lost a lot of pieces. They lost Adam Thielen. They lost Dalvin Cook. Their defense is still trash. And you look at the point differential that the Minnesota Vikings had last year. Now, point differential to me is a lot better of an indication of where a team is, more so than the actual win-loss record. Now, I get it. Did you win or did you lose? That mentality absolutely matters in the NFL. But when you talk about the Minnesota Vikings last year, their team resembled more of a 500 type of team. The Minnesota Vikings won 13-4, but their point differential was in the negatives. The Minnesota Vikings were not that good of a football team last year, and it showed in the wild card game against the New York Giants because the New York Giants were able to beat them in Minnesota. Now, don't get me wrong. The Giants, they were well coached last year and they overachieved, but if the Minnesota Vikings were legitimate contenders, they would have at least beaten the New York Giants. But the fact that they lost to the New York Giants at home in the playoffs to a Daniel Jones-led team, that told me everything that I needed to know about the Minnesota Vikings. I have to say that the law of averages is going to come back and play in hand, and that means the Minnesota Vikings are going to regress big time next year, and I think they could be a team that has a losing record. And here's the thing with Kirk Cousins as well. Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, at least statistically speaking, but Kirk Cousins has never had back-to-back seasons where his teams made the playoffs, so I have serious doubts about the Minnesota Vikings being able to be that good of a team again in the NFC. So those are already two teams that I'm feeling pretty down upon. So to me, it's either the Bears or the Lions. And you look at the Detroit Lions, I'm somewhat high on the Lions, and I say that because Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but the rest of the team is still really questionable to me. The Detroit Lions did not have a good draft in this year's draft. They didn't draft very well in my opinion. Their free agency moves also weren't that good as well. And you're thinking about how the Detroit Lions, they're a historically losing franchise, and the Detroit Lions, yeah, they got a coach that is very inspiring to listen to, and he's a great motivator, and he's an overachiever, but there are some things that Dan Campbell can't do, and that's making adjustments in-game. He's not a great in-game adjuster. For an example, last year, Detroit, they played against Carolina late in the year. The Carolina Panthers were running the same plays over and over again. We were basically running inside zone, HB dive, HB toss, read option, and the Detroit Lions could not stop those plays whatsoever. They allowed Sam Darnold to look like a passable NFL quarterback, and they made the Panthers offense look like the best rushing offense in NFL history because they couldn't stop the run whatsoever. So the Detroit Lions, they have questionable coaching, and their defense isn't really all that anyways. Now, Jared Goff's a good quarterback, but he's inconsistent. Jared Goff's never been able to say that he's been an elite quarterback, at least on a consistent basis, and that he's highly dependent on scheme around him in order to make himself look good. Then I look at the Chicago Bears. Bears. I'm thinking about how this Bears team got DJ Moore, they got Darnell Mooney, they got Chase Claypool, they got Cole Kmet at the tight end position, they got D'Onta Foreman as their new running back, and I'm thinking this Bears offense is going to be pretty good, and I think they can be. I think D'Onta Foreman is an underrated running back, and I think that the Carolina Panthers should have re-signed him, but they didn't, and D'Onta Foreman is going to make a major impact on the Bears offense, particularly when the December weather is going to be freezing in Chicago. He's going to be able to pound that rock pretty effectively. To me, he's the X factor for the Chicago Bears, and I'm also thinking about how DJ Moore is an underrated wide receiver and how he makes good plays happen. So Justin Fields being able to have DJ Moore on his team, that's going to help him out tremendously as well. Also with the fact that they got Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney, they're solid receivers as well. Cole Kmet is also a solid tight end as well. So this Bears offense does look pretty good. But why do I say that Justin Fields will not be able to get the Bears into the playoffs this year? And that's because of the fact that I do not believe in the Chicago Bears defense whatsoever. This Bears defense is still flawed, and I understand that they made a bunch of signings in free agency, but their defense is still not going to be good. And I also don't trust that coach that they have for the Chicago Bears. Matt Eberflus, I believe that's how you say his name, is not a good coach whatsoever. He's not a guy that's necessarily going to put his stamp on the team and you're going to say, wow, what an inspiring leader. He's also not going to be one of those guys where you're going to say, wow, look at his play call, look at his game field strategy, look at his adjustments. What does Matt Eberflus do well? He doesn't really do anything, really. He's just nothing more than a frozen statue on the football field. So Justin Fields is basically running for his life whatsoever. The only thing I like about the Chicago Bears is their offense, their running back, their quarterback, and their offensive coordinator. I do like their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, but he's inexperienced. And so let's see what happens with Justin Fields. And here's also the other thing that I have with Justin Fields as well, because Justin Fields has averaged less than 160 passing yards per game in the NFL. Justin Fields is a great runner, not necessarily a great quarterback. Now, have I seen strides from Justin Fields that is making me say, okay, he could be a good quarterback one day? Absolutely. But he's not a great quarterback right now. He's a great runner, but he's not necessarily a great quarterback. Justin Fields knows how to run the football really well, and he's got a can for an arm, but he's not necessarily the most accurate passer out there, and his throwing mechanics are pretty questionable. So I do have doubts about that. So there is a potential chance that Justin Fields is just going to absolutely suck in year 3. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Justin Fields is going to play solid for the Bears. I'll even have him playing really well at times, but will he ultimately take the Bears into playoff contention? I don't think so. Even though the rest of the division is trash, I think that a team from the NFC North will make the playoffs with a losing record, because I don't like any of these teams in the NFC, whether it's the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, or the Minnesota Vikings. But if the Chicago Bears can manage to find a way to win 8 or 9 games, I think this is a team that can win the NFC North by default, just because of the fact that the rest of the NFC North is so bad. But if they don't get to 8 wins, I won't be surprised. I think the Chicago Bears will end up winning 7 games, so they'll barely miss out on winning the division. So to answer that question, will Justin Fields elevate the Bears into playoff contenders this season? I'm going to have to go ahead and say no. That's my verdict on it. But I do think Justin Fields will end up having a career year throwing the football, and that we will continue to see strides in Justin Fields' game, and that he will continue to be a solid quarterback in the NFL. So that is why Justin Fields will not be able to elevate the Bears into playoff contenders this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.